Hello and welcome to my VTOL VR. I'm just trying to get things to sort of work. Let's go back for a minute. Settings. Audio's too loud. Okay, that's better. Okay, select pilot, tutorials, select, fly. So we're just going to try to make this work. I don't have much room.
Welcome to the AV-42C. First, let's keep the bird from rolling away by using the bird. Now let's move on to the startup sequence.
I don't know how much of this.
Turn on the main battery. This will store power for all of the. Now start the auxiliary power unit, or APU. This will keep the battery charged while we complete the startup sequence. Wait a moment to allow the APU to spool up. We're now ready to start up the engines.
We'll let engine 1 kind of get started. I don't know how much we'll get into this, but yeah, I can reach everything.
Keep an eye on the engine gauges and wait for the RPM to settle.
I'm just trying to see how much of this I can actually...
The engines are now supplying electrical power, so we can turn off the APU.
What I can actually do.
Display. The HUD, or heads-up display, shows you attitude, altitude, velocity, targeting reticles, and other important flight data at a glance. Now turn on the multifunction displays, or MFDs. The MFDs give you access to aircraft features such as weapon configuration, navigation maps, sensors, etc. You can access these features by pressing the corresponding buttons around the edge of the monitor. You'll learn more about the features of the MFDs in a later tutorial. The vehicle is now ready to fly. In the next tutorial, we'll talk about basic flight controls, taxiing, takeoff, and landing.
That's what I wanted. Getting started. Settings. Controls. Thumbstick. Use the controller thumbstick instead of a touchpad. On. Use throttle thumb control for rubber instead of joystick twist. Use hardware rudder pedals for rudder. Overrides other settings. Holding grip button still allows to release. Okay. Select pilot. Okay. Select vehicle. Back. Tutorial. Basic flight. Fly. Okay, let's see if we can make this work this time.
Welcome to the basic flight tutorial. We'll skip the startup procedure now and pick up where we left off in the last one. The main flight controls are the joystick and throttle. You can grip them by holding the grip buttons, or toggle lock your hands to them by tapping the grip buttons. Let's start with taxiing. Grab onto the main flight control. To steer the front wheel, you'll have to twist the joystick on the vertical axis.
Okay.
In order to get moving, we need to tilt the engines to the forward position. Start by holding the throttle trigger to lock the wheel brakes. Then, press and hold up on the throttle thumb control to tilt the engines forward.
Yeah, I think we're getting
As
somewhere.
you release the brakes and slightly lift the throttle lever, you will start to roll. Apply small amounts of throttle or brakes to control your speed. Don't go too fast. Try taxiing over to the marked waypoints.
Yeah, it's got some brake to it. Hello and welcome to my VTOL VR. I think we're starting to get this a little bit. Just tapping the brakes a little bit. It overdoes it, that's for sure. It's a cool game, it really is. It takes a little getting used to though.
Okay, stop here. Throttle down and hold the throttle brake trigger. Let's prepare for a conventional takeoff. Set the brake lock so you can free up your hands. Remember, if your hands are locked to the control, set the flaps to position 1. Make sure all flight assists are enabled. They should be already. Double check that the engines are tilted all the way forward. The indicator should read 0. Now grab the throttle again and hold the brakes. While holding the brakes with your left hand, you can disable. Okay, now taxi onto runway 20.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button, that would really help us out.
Now to take off, raise the throttle to full and steer to keep aligned with the runway. Keep speeding up, straight down the runway. Carefully rotate the joystick back to pull the nose up. Great, you're in the air. Now you can raise the landing gear and set flaps to 0.
Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear.
nose up to about 20 degrees and keep climbing. Let's practice with the basic flight controls. Rotate the joystick left or right to roll towards your target. Rotate the joystick forward or back to pitch your nose towards it. This icon on the heads-up display shows your velocity vector, which is the direction you're actually moving. Fly over to the target waypoint. Try to keep your movement smooth and avoid pulling too hard, as this could cause a stall.
This would take some practice. Now be sure to hit that our channel, GFM_RDG.
Great. Fly over to the next waypoint.
And look underneath the video in the description and find our ways to donate and join our Patreon. Yeah, we'll figure this out over time. It'll probably take some time, though.
Flying. Now let's try landing at the airbase.
Now that's totally
Start your
different.
landing at the next waypoint. Bring your speed down as you approach it. This will be a conventional landing on the runway.
I think I want to pull out, though. Be too close. I want to more of a
runway and continue to bring your speed down. You can use the trigger on the throttle to control the air brakes. Free your left hand to bring your flaps and landing gear down. Then continue to bring your speed down.
Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear.
Get out of here. Oh, that would take some practice. As you can tell, I'm not a pilot. But we got a little bit further. So we'll try to piece this video together, but I'm going to have to take more time in learning how to, especially land, because that's not as easy. Maybe I should have full flaps instead of just some flaps. So until the next VTOL VR, I appreciate you coming along. So until then, goodbye.